It was Eala is the match that I was looking at, and there's people like wrapped around the stadium just trying to get in, which is pretty crazy. And I mean, it's cool to see and it's exciting, but obviously, you know, for fan experience, I don't know because I'm not living that same experience. But hopefully, the event can continue.
Jessica Pegula just lit a fire under the tennis world, and this time, the battle isn't happening between the lines. The American star isn't swinging a racket. She's swinging straight at the WTA, and she's doing it for Alexandra Ayala. At the 2025 Australian Open, something extraordinary unfolded. Alexandra Ayala didn't just arrive as a rising star, she arrived as a movement. Fans flew in from Manila, from across Asia, from cities around the globe. They didn't come casually. They booked flights. They took time off work. They spent hard-earned money, all for a chance to watch their hero compete on one of tennis's biggest stages. This wasn't hype. This was devotion. The atmosphere around her matches felt different, louder, prouder, more electric. For a player still carving out her place on tour, Ayala generated the kind of energy most veterans dream about. She brought global eyes, passionate supporters, and undeniable momentum to the tournament. And then came the shock. Despite drawing one of the most dedicated fan turnouts of the event, Ayala was scheduled on a smaller court, one that couldn't even hold the wave of supporters who came specifically to see her. Fans were packed in, others were turned away. The buzz? Contained, restricted. That decision didn't sit well with Jessica Pegula. Pegula called it out directly, questioning how a player who clearly moves tickets, headlines, conversations, and energizes crowds could be denied a main stage platform. In her view, this wasn't just about scheduling. It was about recognizing impact. Because here's the truth. When a young star brings that kind of global passion to a Grand Slam like the Australian Open, you don't shrink the stage. You expand it. This moment may have started as a scheduling controversy, but it's turning into something bigger. A conversation about visibility, about marketability, about respecting the future of the sport. And one thing is clear, Alexandra Ayala isn't just coming. She's already here.
We're getting and making that still an enjoyable experience for them. But I did see some of the courts have like lines getting in and it seems really busy, and I saw some reports that it's some of their busiest.
Jessica Pegula didn't sugarcoat it. She called it what she believes it was: disrespect. Disrespect toward Alexandra Ayala. Disrespect toward her fans. And when you look at what actually happened on the ground at the Australian Open, it's hard not to understand the outrage. Thousands of supporters showed up wearing Philippine colors, waving flags, chanting her name. Many had flown in from Manila and other parts of Asia. They stood in long queues for hours, hoping, just hoping, to squeeze into the court where their rising star was scheduled to play. But the venue assigned to her match simply didn't have the capacity. Some fans never made it inside. Imagine traveling thousands of miles, spending money you may have saved for years, only to be locked outside because the court was too small. Some strained to catch a glimpse from distant walkways. Others watched updates on their phones, just steps away from the action they came to witness in person. That's not just a logistical oversight. It sends a message, intentional or not. To many, the message felt like this: you're not big enough. Yet for the main stage, Pegula openly challenged that idea. She revealed she had been told it was one of the biggest and most electric crowds the tournament had ever seen, energy driven in large part by Ayala's presence. If that's true, then why wasn't she placed on a court that could showcase it properly? Why limit a moment that was clearly expanding beyond its assigned space? Pegula questioned why Ayala wasn't given a bigger platform, more seats, more visibility, more room for the kind of atmosphere that was already building organically around her. And she hinted at something deeper. She suggested the possibility that decision-makers may not fully embrace what Eala represents, a young Asian star pulling in massive support from a region tennis has long tried to penetrate more deeply. That fan base should be celebrated, amplified, elevated. Instead, critics argue, it was contained. Pegula wasn't alone. Novak Djokovic also voiced support, calling Eala the greatest tennis talent the Philippines has ever produced, and insisting she deserves full respect on the sport's biggest stages. When legends speak, the tennis world listens. This isn't just fan frustration anymore. It's players powerful, respected voices saying something doesn't add.
Things like that happen. I mean, it's you could argue that it was, maybe a poor schedule, and maybe they could schedule him on a bigger court. Yes, but again, she's so young and she's just coming through. I saw the other day with Alex Eala, that's been a talk, and which is understandable. There's some players coming from respective countries, like she's coming from Philippines, which is now a big deal. She's been the biggest ever, tennis player from that country, which is a big country, and there's big interest.
Here's the part that makes this impossible to ignore. This doesn't feel new. For those who have followed the rise of Alexandra Ayala closely, the controversy surrounding her court, placement at the Australian Open doesn't look like a one-off scheduling mistake. It feels like part of a pattern, a series of moments where the margins haven't just been tight, they've tilted. Take the Australian Open qualifiers. In the middle of a critical rally, Ayala struck a ball that landed clearly inside the baseline. The mark on the court was visible. From the stands and on replay, it looked in. Yet the call came back out. Frustrating. Absolutely. But what happened next raised even more eyebrows. Instead of correcting the call and awarding her the point, officials ordered the point to be replayed. That's not standard procedure in professional tennis. A ball is either in or out. You review, you confirm, and you assign the point accordingly. Replaying a point under those circumstances is rare, and for many watching, it felt irregular. But here's what defined the moment. Eala didn't explode. She didn't spiral. She walked to the chair umpire, composed but unwavering, and made her stance clear. "I know what you are doing," she said, not as an emotional outburst, but as a firm declaration that she was aware, focused, and unshaken. Then, she did the only thing champions can truly control. She won anyway. She pushed through the qualifiers and advanced all the way to the finals. That kind of response-absorbing controversy and converting it into fuel is not common. That's elite mental resilience. That's a competitor who refuses to let external forces dictate internal belief. And it didn't end there. During a high-profile match against Iga Świątek, a multiple Grand Slam champion, and one of the most dominant forces in the women's game, Ayala was building momentum. For a young player to even share the court with Świątek is significant. But in the middle of that match, at a pivotal stretch, an official confronted Ayala about items in her backpack, mid-match, at a crucial juncture. The interruption disrupted rhythm, shifted energy, and created confusion at a moment when composure is everything. Whether procedural or not, the timing raised questions. Elite tennis hinges on flow. Break that flow, and you alter the match dynamic. When you connect the dots, the smaller court assignments despite massive crowds, the unusual officiating decisions, the mid-match interruption, it forms a narrative that many fans find troubling. Is it intentional? Is it coincidence? Is it bureaucratic mismanagement? Those are fair debates. But what's undeniable is the perception building around it. That perception is exactly what Jessica Pegula addressed when she publicly criticized how Ayala has been handled. Pegula saw the crowds. She saw the global support. She saw the energy Ayala injected into the tournament, and she questioned why that momentum wasn't met with equal recognition from decision-makers. She wasn't alone. Novak Djokovic, one of the most decorated players in tennis history, also voiced his support, calling Ayala the greatest tennis talent the Philippines has ever produced, and emphasizing that she deserves full respect on the sport's biggest stages. When peers speak up, especially players of that stature, it transforms fan frustration into industry conversation. Because this isn't just about one player's court assignment, it's about what tennis wants to be moving forward. Ayala represents something powerful, a bridge to Asia's massive sports, audience, a new generation of fans, a story of discipline, national pride, and global ambition. She's not just climbing rankings, she's expanding the sport's footprint. That should be celebrated, amplified, protected. Instead, critics argue she's had to fight not only opponents across the net, but circumstances around her. And yet, through every setback, every questionable call, every disruption, she keeps competing. She keeps improving. She keeps drawing crowds that many established stars would envy. That's not hype. That's phenomenon territory. So the real question isn't whether Eala belongs on the big stage. The real question is whether the system is ready to fully embrace what she already is, because she's not going anywhere. She's building something bigger than a single tournament, bigger than a scheduling controversy, bigger than a ranking number. She's building a legacy. Now it's up to the powers that govern the sport to decide whether they'll meet that moment with fairness, respect, and vision, or continue reacting after the wave has already formed. What do you think? Is this pattern deliberate, or just a series of unfortunate missteps? Did the tournament mishandle a golden opportunity? And will outspoken support from Pegula and Djokovic force meaningful change? One thing is certain, the tennis world is watching.